as a woman who's a minority in this sport, is about taking up your space. This is a sport for everyone.
My guest today is Arielle Miller. Thank you for coming. And we wanted to talk to you because you're creating a movement. But first, tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I guess if I'm going to talk about myself,
we just want your background first.
Oh, well, bike background because there's a lot.
I mean, were you a scuba instructor? What did you do?
Before bikes? Was there
it's bike stuff.
I don't know. Was there life before bikes is the question. Well, I will say that I came into bikes later in life. I found bikes during the pandemic as a means to lose weight. I had hired a strength and conditioning transformation coach who was like, you should get a road bike because you have to do 90 minutes of cardio a day. So I bought a $525 road bike off of Facebook Marketplace. And within 6 months, I had bought another road bike. And here we are now, fast forward 5 years later, and I have 5 bikes. I had 6.
So you, like the rest of the world, found bikes during COVID.
I did, except I'm not a fair weather COVID bike person.
You're like, I'm going to do this.
I committed full on. My entire living room is bikes. Like, you walk in and I have a whole storage wall that's got labeled bins. And then I have all my bikes on a vertical rack. And then I have my bike trainer. Like, my entire living room is like, it looks like a bike shop.
So you replaced the couch.
There's a small couch.
Okay. So there's a small couch, but it's mainly bikes.
Mainly
bike racks,
bikes.
All that stuff.
I'm very committed to the lifestyle.
So rather than forks and spoons, you have derailleurs and chains.
Absolutely.
In the drawers.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, continue.
Okay. So I work in education full time. I was a middle school and high school English teacher for 13 years. And now I work coaching adults. I would like to say that I guess the things that I'm interested in life cycle around, pun intended, finding groups and being a part of a group. I really identify as being part of community. So when I first started riding a bike, I didn't know that people rode in groups. I knew nothing. Like, I wore like my Nike Metcons, my Lululemon pants. Like, I didn't want to get a tan line, so I wore like a tank top. I wore like my Ray-Ban Sunnies. I didn't know how to wear
metal frame glasses.
Yes. And I didn't know how to wear my helmet. So like my helmet was like up here, and it was a helmet I had from my 20s. So it was very old. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And I would go on these rides and I had a really good time. And then the more I was out in the community, the more I started to post on Instagram, actually, is how I started to find other people, and was how I found like a coach, and then found like teams. And I always knew that there was like a Tour de France, but it didn't crystallize or make sense to me that like people got together and did this together. And once I learned and realized that this was something that people did as a pastime or really as a lifestyle sport, then I was like fully sold. And for me, when I came in as a roadie, that was being on a team and having team practices and going to events with my team. And I loved that. I love being a part of something that's bigger than myself and being able to facilitate relationships. So cycling nourished that need for me. And then the longer I was riding, the more I was curious about other things. So I went from the road to the track, and I got certified at Carson. So I would ride at Carson, and then I would ride at Encino. And then I wound up getting a gravel bike later on, but then I was curious about the mountain bike. And then I started to dabble in the mountain bike. And then there's a whole long story about like my foray into how I got into full dirt. But it was just one thing that led to another. And then I just was genuinely curious. But what kept me coming back was ultimately the people that I was meeting and the athletes that I now coach and things like that, that brought me back every single day, because those relationships are important to me.
So let's back up. I met you a week and a half ago at the Pivot Demo Day.
Yes.
Which is
it's a very long-standing friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we go back way back. So When I was talking to you, I would never think you would even touched a road bike. And now we're hearing, oh yeah, I did this road stuff. I did track. I did all this stuff. I even touched a gravel bike. Okay. So
we're just going to say touched a gravel bike.
Touched a gravel bike.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when did you say, okay, kick the road bike out. It's done. And you actually put the big girl panties on and said, I want to ride the dirt, because let's just face it, road bikes kind of suck. They're just very boring. But at the same time, they're a necessary evil. Good fitness, keep you going, it's just going to create strength. But at what point did you say, you know what, I'm really going to do the mountain bike stuff?
Well, in our long-standing friendship, when I met you, you did say exactly what I say. I'm a mountain biker who rides a road bike.
Correct.
Okay, so that is exactly how I now identify, is I use my road bike as a tool for my fitness on my mountain bike. I used to use my road bike as a vessel for adventuring. So I have ridden all over on my road bike. I've ridden in Yosemite, and that was amazing, like to Half Dome and things like that. And you can cover a certain type of mileage on a road bike that you can't cover on a mountain bike, just because the uptake is completely different. I will say the biggest thing happened for me was I'm a big proponent of where energy goes, energy flows. So I was working really hard and I really loved the road bike. There are certain things that I found to be a little bit souring in the aspect of riding the road. There is a lot of, and I want to just be really delicate about it, but there's a lot of sometimes body shaming and a lot of fitness related to climbing, that if you're not able to climb X hill in X time and you get dropped, and there was some kind of things that I found to be kind of toxic to my social, emotional, mental self that didn't make me feel like I wanted to keep coming back. Granted, you can say, well, it's the people you're riding with, and there's all these different things. It's a pretty known thing that you want to be, or I guess like an ideal in the road community is tall and lean, and I'm short and muscular and look more like, let's say, a track cyclist. And from a predisposition space, I'm not predisposed to riding the road because I am only 5 feet tall and I have to work really hard. That's not to say that I'm opposed to working hard. I just felt like I'm beating my head against the wall or banging my head against the wall, and I'm making progress, but truly the progress that I would have wanted to make wasn't going to happen for me. And I'm a realist, but I got on the mountain bike and there was this different kind of...
But legitimately, it takes 5 years for anybody to grow in a sport and kind of evolve their body and kind of create that athlete, so to speak.
I absolutely. And I didn't have any of the...
And you've only been in it for 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And haven't even been in it that long. But I didn't have any of that endurance, adaptation, because I've never done endurance sports. So there are, aside from just being like, rolling my eyes and being like, oh, I physiologically didn't have it, but it was just, I found the mountain bike concurrently while I was riding the road. And I started on a Specialized chisel, and
which is a hardtail.
Yes. And first of all, it's an amazing introductory bike.
It's a steel bike. It's a nice little bike to start
exactly.
with. Yeah.
It's a great, and that's a bike I recommend to people who are getting into it. It's an approachable price point. It's going to get you out on dirt. It's going to do the job. And if and when you fall in love with it, you can upgrade to something better. Or different. I don't want to say better, because there is a time and a space for hardtails to reside, and there's a time and a space for full suspension and all those kinds of things. But I started on a hardtail. I had no skills on the dirt, and I was horrified. Coming from the road to the dirt and hearing the ground beneath me or feeling my tires slide was a horrifying sensation. So what I really wound up doing initially was rode the mountain bike to support my road fitness. So I would sit on a fire road and just go up for a fat, juicy climb for a couple thousand feet, and then come down a pretty tame flow trail or come back down that fire road. And it was terrifying for me because I had never been on dirt before. So it was really scary. I didn't have a dropper. I also didn't know what a dropper was. So the person who was teaching me how to ride the mountain bike, what they were saying to me, like when I was descending, didn't really crystallize because this person was like, oh, just get back. Doesn't make any sense to me as someone who was new and also not having a dropper post and it just
and
was
you're
confusing.
In the moment.
Exactly.
You're like, do this, do this, do this. Like, I'm just trying to stay upright. Shut your mouth.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like coming from the road, right? You're descending down 55 miles an hour, coming down the crest, let's say, and there's a rock or a pebble in the road that could potentially result in something catastrophic. On a mountain bike, it's all rocks, it's all dirt and all those things. So I had to like really work on reprogramming that like this bike is capable. This bike can ride over these things. It can ride up things. It can go down things like that. Unlocking that mental part was huge for me. So I wasn't making any progress. I had ridden like, I'm going to say a handful of like 5 times, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about it. I got fed on Instagram a clinic, Sedona Mountain Bike Academy in Sedona, Arizona. And this Instagram influencer she was like coaching for them. And I followed her and I was like, oh, well, this is going to be great. I'm going to go to Arizona for a weekend and I'm going to learn how to ride a mountain bike. I had never been on a full suspension. I rode a Trek Fuel. It was an aluminum one and it was like red with a black fade like paint job. I still remember it because that is what changed my life. I remember getting on the full suspension for my first time and like the whoosh and being like, whoa, this is so cool. Like that feeling was like, it was so bizarre because I didn't have that on my hardtail or on my road bike. I spent a weekend in Arizona riding this bike and it took me to a whole new level. I got back to LA on a Monday. By Friday, I had ordered, picked up, and was riding my very own Trek from the Trek factory that I had gotten down in like San Diego. It unlocked a whole new level for me. It gave me the confidence that I didn't have before. And I think that it was also about finding the right tool. A hardtail was not right for me.
So let me ask you this. I sell tons of mountain bikes. And everybody comes in, oh, I just want to get started on a hardtail. Tell them, would you say a full suspension is better for a beginner because of the safety factor of it?
So I will say, I'm going to say you're going to evolve. For me, had I have been given a full suspension earlier, I think my skills would have gotten better earlier.
And that's what I'm getting
exactly.
At. So
and
when I'm selling bikes and people are saying, I just need to get started. A hardtail's fine. $1,300, $1,000, it's going to go. And when I say, listen, I'm telling you, you're new to this. You want the safety aspects. That full suspension is well worth spending the extra $1,000 because you're not going to wind up on the ground. Mm-hmm. The hardtail is just going to throw you around. It's better to get on a full suspension because it's going to be safer. You can run over things better. You can make mistakes, and it's going to be safer for you.
Well, exactly. So you have the forgiveness with the full suspension, and I think the thing that people don't realize when they think hardtail full suspension, and as somebody who is so new, I remember all of my thought process. So I like to share this with people. Mm-hmm. I looked at a full suspension, and I was like, "That's a huge undertaking." Like I was like, oh my gosh, like that's like big stuff. Yeah. And I'm not doing big stuff. I didn't understand or know travel. I didn't know anything about travel. Like I prefer bigger travel now because I'm riding bigger features and the hyper riding I do. But you could get, if I had known what I know now, then I would have gotten potentially like an XC bike that had shorter travel, that still allowed me the forgiveness that a full suspension would give me. And then I would still have, because where I was in my journey, I wasn't, as I was starting out, like anyone else, I'm not riding double black diamonds.
Right.
You're not. So you don't necessarily need those big beefy tires. You need just tires that are going to roll, go up the fire road, come on down. And that's the kind of stuff I did to get comfortable. But I would have gotten better, I think, sooner had I've had a full suspension. But I will say the integral part to my growth was getting coaching. Had I have not had coaching, and that's what I can, and I'm not just saying that because I coach, the coaching gave me confidence. Having someone take me to a feature and say, you can do this, that I would have been like, I can't do that. Like someone saying that you can do this and believing in me and telling me how to modulate my brakes, where my feet need to be, where my body needs to be, understanding the center of mass, like understanding these things helped me. I came back literally an entire new person. Subsequently, since then, I return to Sedona Mountain Bike Academy every year and take private lessons with the owners. And I also go back for their clinics and their coaching because I believe in coaching. I believe in what I sell and promote to other people because the only way I'm going to continue to grow and evolve is if people pour into me as well.
So what did that course run you financially?
It was very affordable. It was very affordable. I don't recall offhand, but it was a few $100s, which you obviously have the drive, right? You also have gas and like accommodations, but I think
but you get to go to Sedona for a weekend.
$300-$400 for a 2-day, all-day thing, and it included lunch. And don't quote me on the price, but I can tell you the owners, Amo and Evan, are incredibly talented. Amo is a BICP level 3 instructor, which is like anyone who knows like coaching knows, like there are like 11 people in the entire world that are BICP level 3s. It's like huge. And I don't know what Evans is, but they believe in what they sell to people. And ultimately, like, yes, you now have a client for life, but I am eternally grateful to where I am in my journey because had I have not encountered them, I can assure you I probably would have never stuck with dirt.
Yeah, I listen, I have tons of customers. You know, they take one good crash and it's like, I'm done. Back on the road bike where it's safe, you know, but honestly, it's not that safe because especially riding here in LA, you know, unless you're riding groups all the time by yourself, you just run a risk of getting hit by a car. I mean, you're like a moving target every time you go out there.
Well, and a group's not necessarily any safer.
It's a little bit safer, I would say, just because you have a larger amount of people.
Yes, for visibility on the road.
Visibility, exactly. So a little bit. But honestly, nothing nowadays is safer. People are just too distracted, in my opinion, you know, and it makes it really hard for road cyclists to feel safe out there.
Absolutely.
So, but anyways, that's awesome. So now you're a mountain biker, you are a mountain biker that rides road bikes. So what's your main goal in this sport then?
I have a lot of goals when it comes to mountain biking. The biggest thing that I want to see is growth for women. I'm never expecting the fields to be 50-50. That's just not going to happen. Specifically, my interest is young girls and also masters women, getting them on bikes, demystifying the fear. I will say this, mountain biking is scary. It's terrifying. We've all rolled up to something and looked over and been like, nope.
Well, it's more than that. I mean, even like what you were saying about going into fire roads, you know, it doesn't matter. If there's dirt, it's questionable. You know, the stuff moves. It doesn't, you don't stick to it, you know.
Exactly.
And it slides and it makes noise and it does get scary. And you're absolutely correct. There is tons and tons of fear around this.
And then for me, because I was older, and I always tell people, and we are all guilty of this narrative of, oh, if I only started younger. Well, I didn't start younger, and I don't have a hot tub time machine, so I can't go back and fix it.
You don't? I have one.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, you should come visit. It's great.
So
it's
excited.
great.
Chernobyl. I love that movie. And I make that reference all the time when I'm leading like trainings at work. And I'm like, hot tub time machine. And I was like leading this training And all these people were like, I'm sorry, what's Hot Tub Time Machine? I was like, hold on. Have you guys not seen this movie? I was like, I am so embarrassed. It is a cinematic great. But in all seriousness, it's not going to do me any good to say, oh my gosh, I wish I started riding sooner, because that's not how it happened. So I started riding a bike. I think I was 38. I don't even really know at this point.
2020, you said.
2020. So
5 years ago.
People can do the math. I'll be 43 in June. But in any case, I started riding the mountain bike maybe a year and a half, 2 years into that journey. It doesn't really matter at this point. I started when I started. And if I were younger, I wouldn't have had the same kind of fear response we have as we get older. And then there's like reality of, my gosh, if I break something, how does this impact my loved ones, my family, my job, and those kinds of things. But I didn't have anyone when I first started that I could go to and look at and be like, that's me. That is a woman who's my age, who is out there doing the best they can with what they have unapologetically and saying, hey, come ride with me. Oh, you're new? You want to see this trail? Let me take you out. And I didn't have that. And my hope for other women is I want to build sisterhood and community. And I always say sisterhood first. Sisterhood above everything. Community. We come together, we ride bikes. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how fast you are. I don't care how fit you are. I don't care what bike you're on, as long as it's capable and that it's safe. I want you to come out and experience the unbounded joy that is being on a mountain bike. We all start on a fire road. Mm-hmm. We all start there. But you have to begin somewhere to get everywhere. And I think what people get caught up in is, well, if I'm not riding at Crankworks, well, why am I going to bother? Well, that's a very small population. I'm never going to be able to ride stuff like that. And you don't have to jump a mountain bike to be capable or to be great or to enjoy it. You can keep those wheels on the ground. And I think that people get caught up in it. So like my goal is to provide pathways of access. I want to create a space where women can come together and congregate and feel comfortable as they are physically, where they are with the tools that they have, and then empower them. So like another fear is like, yeah, I'm riding a fire road. What if I flat? I don't know how to change a flat.
Yep, which is a big deal.
So is having space where women could empower other women and learn that. Having a space where women can be coached by other skilled women in how to do things. I think, though, the biggest thing above skill, and this is what I find with women in general, is we diminish ourselves. We sell ourselves short. I do it all the time. I'm like, I have this girlfriend who I've recently met who's an incredibly competent, incredible enduro athlete who keeps asking me to ride with her. And riding with her is going to be incredible for me because she's going to elevate my skill set by having to work with her. And I said to her, I was like, oh, you don't want to ride with me. I'm not a great climber. And why do I need to dull and dim my light? Like, she wants to ride with me. I'm a cool girl.
Yeah, just go ride your bike.
But that's the point, right? So, but we all do this, is like just show up and go and just like have a good time. Like when I invite people out on a ride and I'm inviting you, that's not a training day for me. I'm inviting you out because I generally want to grow this and I want to evolve this and I want to work with you and hang out with you.
Right.
So we have to let go of that narrative. I just want more young girls to get on a bike. And I want more older women to get on a bike. And I want young girls to stick with it and not just ride while they're in high school and then abandon it. I want to see them continue to commit to riding in whatever vessel can work in their lives. Because life happens.
Yeah. You can tell me that.
Well,
life does
have a baby.
Yeah.
You have a baby, so like riding is like, hi.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah, exactly. So how can people support your vision?
The biggest thing that I could use for support would really be partnering with shops or brands and having the opportunity to rent bikes, to run clinics and expose people to what we do on mountain bikes and give them the confidence to ride dirt, because dirt can be really scary. The other thing that I really, really need and hope for is just people just to show up, have all of the concerns, be nervous, have all the questions, be scared, but just walk out the door and just commit to having an open heart and an open mind and trying something new. And it's okay to say, hey, I tried it. It's really not my thing. But to say that something's not your thing without trying it is kind of foolish. The way that I look at the way I see it is, I don't know what I don't know. So just show up and see how it goes. And I always tell people, honestly, try something 3 times. Try something 3 times.
It's like swinging 3 times and you're out, right?
I have a 3 rule in general for how I do with like trail, when I'm out on the trail. If there's a feature that I renege on 3 times, that's it for the day. I don't do it after that. My brain and my body are saying this is a no-go, and that's how catastrophe happens. So in general, I do say 3 is a rule. I could be having an off day. You can be having an off day. You could also not be in the right physical headspace. You could have these other factors. So that's why I say give something a shot 3 times, but commit to open heart and open mind.
Sure. It's good advice. All right, so why don't I ask you this? Why the heck are you not doing a local clinic? Or maybe I should ask it this way. When are you going to start your local clinic? Because you got a lot to say and you have a lot to share with people. It sounds like this is something that's natural for you.
Well, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, we can help with that.
Okay.
All right. So what would you say is your most embarrassing moment on a bike? And I know you got one.
Oh, my God. Okay. So before I bought my e-bike that I have now since sold, I had only been on an e-bike 1 time. And I was at Sky Park, and it was a Liv. I don't know what bike it was. And
Liv is a giant.
Yeah, but thank you. This is probably not the most embarrassing one, but it is pretty embarrassing. So we had like a party train going, and it was like a women's day. It was like Sugar Plum Fest, and there was a few kids from the team. Right. Yeah, Sugar Plum Fest at Sky Park. And it wasn't last year, it was the year before. It doesn't matter. In any case, there was a whole group of girls in this line with me. I had just met like all of them. And we're all like instant best friends. We're like, oh my God, you ride bikes? You ride bikes? Oh my gosh. We're all really excited. So we had gone up. And then there were a few kids from the team. A few of the boys were with us. And we have this like long line, and we're coming down, and I'm on this e-bike, and I had this moment to myself where I go, oh my God, I love this thing. This is amazing. This is all I want to ride. And I take a corner, and my rear tire fishtails out, and I go down, and we're in this line. It was so embarrassing.
And then everybody ran you over.
No, everyone likes, ride her down. And I had a mild concussion.
So like you were seeing stars.
It was
over.
like I like legit like bounced, and so like the tire went out, and then I like bounced and I slid, and the kid I was like right in the middle of the line, and I was just like, what was so embarrassing for me was a microsecond. Nobody heard this dialogue, obviously. A microsecond before, I was like, I love this thing. This is amazing. I'm like, you're so fast. Whoosh, down.
On the ground.
And I was with all these girls that I had just met. And I was like, I swear I'm a fully capable rider. But again, these things happen to all of us. So
yes, they do.
I've wiped out on trails I've ridden 8,000 times and had catastrophic damage on like the dumbest things because I just like wasn't paying attention.
I was coming down just this local Burbank side. We were coming down after a shop ride. And I come around a turn that I've done 100 times I was going fast. All I know is I'm on the ground getting run over by 3 of my best friends. And it's just like, well, that just happened. I thought I broke everything, and turns out I could stand up, but I was leaking all over the place.
Oh my
Got
gosh.
home, looked like I got tackled by a bear. Yeah, no fun. Well, listen, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a great talking with you, and I look forward to doing a bunch of projects and events with you in the future.
I'm excited. Thank you.